Another 213 crispy video, and today we kind of got a short topic, but I'm gonna set you up to understand what's going on here, and then I'm gonna explain it, and then I'm gonna show you. This is my stepson's buggy that he had got for Christmas, brand new in the box, BEC 6.1. I have a old high-tech steering servo that was attached to it at the time of the making. It's not this one, but basically looks the same, but it actually had a metal output instead of plastic like this one. You're going to notice there's something different on there. I'm going to explain that. Brand new Hobbywing Juststock Esc, Gens Ace battery, and a Macklin version 1, and a chassis fan blowing on the motor in the back. A Spectrum receiver and radio that I had already just floating around, so I gave that to him for Christmas to go with his buggy so we can go racing. I was finally able to get him out to his first race on Sunday, and today is Monday. So there's a couple things wrong with the buggy. Unfortunately, it did not survive without breaking a front A-arm, so I got parts already on order for that. But this video is not about the A-arm, but instead it's about the issues that I was having with steering. And I'm making this video to inform you guys if you're running across the same issue, because it took me and the hobby shop owner about 2.5, 3 hours maybe of troubleshooting to figure out the issues linked to the speed controller. So Without further ado, let me explain what the steps on what were going on. So the issue is he got on the track and was steering it and was losing control of the vehicle. He was going extremely slow because it's his first time ever running any RC, which is to be expected, and I totally expected that. But he was struggling just to be able to make a single corner, even at Snell speeds. So first thing I was thinking was maybe the steering is reversed. So then I started checking out the steering, grabbed the controller, found out sure enough the steering was backwards. So then I fixed that, and then I ran across the next issue that the steering horn looked like it was really far away from the receiver or the steering servo, and there was a lot of slop and play in here, and it looked like he had snapped the servo horn coming out of the servo. Again, it was a spare. It was something I just had floating around. So I went ahead and spent $90 on a new steering servo for him that's pretty much bulletproof. The Spectrum S6240, and it's all metal internals, titanium part. I get it. The only complaint that I have with this piece is the output on this is in a really bad location. Instead of coming out the back, it's coming out the side, and it's really pinched in that spot. This isn't a servo review, so I'm going to move on from that. So the issue that I'm having, like I said, it's intermittent steering and kind of throttle control. So we started doing some more troubleshooting to figure out that the receiver was losing voltage. So what was going on is we found out later that the receiver was basically losing reception from the radio. So we were thinking, well, we know that this is new, so maybe because I'm using the old Spectrum products, and no offense to anybody that's a Spectrum user, but they are apparently notorious for having issues in the racing world for having a connection issue. they like to drop really bad, and it has to do with the technology of the way the Spectrum functions. Again, not a Spectrum product review, just explaining to you what's going on. So we decided to throw a, I'm trying to think of the term, but I know it's a capacitor, but I think they called it a glitch buster, which is basically a capacitor. We threw that on there, and it was doing the exact same thing. So there's a technology term for the output of this, and it's called BEC. So the BEC feeds power to your receiver, and that BEC voltage is being dropped at the receiver level, which is causing this glitch. This is the troubleshooting process that we had found that finally figured out why it was doing what it was doing. So we tried a second Spectrum receiver from a known working source. Put it on here, paired it with my wonderful little DX3E, and it was doing magically the same thing. So then the track owner is like, hey, let me try my Futaba 7PX or 7VP, whatever it is. It was like a $600 radio. Threw that on there with his Spectrum receiver, same problem. So we're using the same battery, same speed controller, so we're like, let's try a different battery. So I swapped from my cheap battery to the Gen Aces, and still doing the same problem. So at this point, everything is pointing to the BEC voltage output of the electronic speed controller that's causing the issue. So now I'm going to turn it on and show you. Even though the steering arm is broke, ignore that portion of it. I understand that, but let me turn this on, turn my radio on, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So let me move this so you guys can see a little bit better. So if I turn this slow, watch the steering. So I'm going to go left. That's the full turn, and it's holding. If I go slow back, it's fine. If I go back this way, same problem. Still fine. Everything's working. If I give it some gas, okay, it's reversed. So if I give it gas, listen. You hear it starts low like this and then ramps up for full. It's weird. So I'm giving it full throttle. You can hear that step. So that was the first thing that he discovered was wrong, was that. I'm like, well, maybe it's the motor because it is a used motor and I don't know anything about it. So I'm chalking that up as a motor problem. Or at least whenever I put it together, I discovered that issue, but I thought it was linked to the motor. Now that we've linked it to this, I think it's linked to the electronic speed controller giving this issue. So now here's the problem. If I try steering this a little bit more, it's fine. Fine. But now if I go crazy with it, look at the light. You notice it's losing and then this is flashing for the voltage issue. So that's the problem that I have with the Hobbywing Juststock EXC. So I've contacted AMain. This was a Christmas gift. It was purchased on November 29th, I believe it was. They are graceful enough to take this back as a return exchange, and they are going to test it, and then if they find out that it is broke, they are going to send me a replacement. So thank you, AMain Hobbies, for doing that to me. And no, that is not a shameless plug. That is just supporting a company that stands behind their customers. So with that, if you guys run across an issue where you've got a possible issue going on with speed, but mainly you're losing kind of connectivity and your steering servo is kind of being quirky crazy, odds are it may not be your servo. It's your BEC that's dropping voltage to your receiver. So with that, I hope you guys enjoy this little tech tip on how to test your products for a BEC issue, and keep an eye out. Now, I've heard great things about this receiver or electronic speed controller, and especially for only, I'm trying to remember the price, $55. So my brother's got one in his 5.0 Elite. It runs amazing. Actually, in my buggy, I can't keep up with them, and I'm running an Orion R10 with a Macklin version 2 Team Edition motor. So he's running a Trinity X Factor with ceramic bearings, and it's fully tuned and everything. So his buggy gets up and goes with just a simple $55 electronic speed controller. And I also like the size of it. It's not big, it doesn't take up a lot of room, it's not real tall. It fits this chassis real well, which is why I was suggested to go with this. The only thing I didn't do when I built this is I did not do a lot of cable management when it comes to the motor wires and the power leads, but again, it was a quick, economical build. I didn't want to make it pretty yet. I was more worried about function than I was making it look good. So with that, I'm going to wrap this video up. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And again, keep an eye out for your BEC if you're having some issues with kind of intermittency of losing control of your vehicle while you're on the track. And I'm going to wrap this video up. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to hit like, comment down below if you've run across something similar to this. And make sure you subscribe for future content. And I'm out of here. Later, guys.